return. There's lots of paperwork that takes place in here as people are checking out or checking in, last-minute instructions. There you can see on a typical day what it looks like in there with many civilians, some employees, some family members, of course, of soldiers inside that readiness center. We are told now that one gunman is in custody, and there is perhaps yet one more on the loose. Again, we are told one gunman is in custody. There is perhaps one more still on the run somewhere inside that military post. Now, again, these numbers could change. That information is fluid, so kind of bend and go with us until we get it locked down for sure. Right now, as you might well expect, Fort Hood, the status is closed. It was in lockdown, but now it's closed. All groups on base are instructed to get a head count of all of their people. All of the groups on the military post now are being instructed to get a head count of all of their people who work in the various areas. They're trying to make sure who's accounted for and who's missing. Now, not only do they want to know in terms of are people where they're supposed to be, but they're also trying to go through a process to figure out maybe who's missing, and if someone's missing, where are they? Are there more people somewhere injured? Are there more people unaccounted for? Is there someone unsuspecting, unknowing, who could be caught in the middle of this, who maybe could be taken hostage? There's a lot of uncertainty. Oh, that reminds me, don't forget, there's a lot of housing on that post for families, mothers with kids, husbands off at war. On a day like today, it would not be uncommon to have windows up, perhaps even doors open. So again, it's important for people there to lock down quickly as possible and make sure they are inside their homes and they stay off the streets until the all clear and this thing is sounded. That might take a while. We're still trying to cull more information, as you might well imagine. This is, you can only imagine what it would be like there. Panic, pandemonium, uncertainty. People are trying to coordinate and orchestrate and try to move forward, trying to, they practice for these kinds of events. They have drills and training for these kinds of events. Now, though, it's time to put it into place. And when you put it into place in a real life event, let me just tell you, the adrenaline is rushing, your heart is pounding, there are thoughts racing through your mind, you're trying to remember what you've been taught and the techniques you've been taught as you look for a gunman inside a military installation, and at the same time, you're trying to move through with all deliberate speed. So, and you have to blanch from your mind the facts that you know. You can't, at this time, if you're trying to look for this person, this gunman, you cannot dwell on the dead and the wounded. You've got to have a clear head so you don't get caught slipping as you try to find this gunman somewhere inside this military post. We're told that one is in custody, one gunman in custody. We're told the search is on, perhaps for at least one more. This happened, well, it's 2:30 now. We began to hear about this a little before 2 o'clock, so let's just say early afternoon. Maybe right after the lunch hour, we began to hear of something that had taken place there. We are desperately trying to find more information for you. We know that many of you have loved ones who are in the military, in the Army, and stationed there at this post. And that's why we have interrupted our regular programming, because there is nothing at this moment that we would broadcast at this hour more important to you than what's happening there. I understand we like our entertainment, but my friends, this is real life tragedy unfolding in our state at a military post, and we need to share that with you right now. Let me just take a look at the Associated Press wires and see if there's any new developments here. Let me tell you what I know. I've been told, again, there are elementary, middle, and high schools on the post, and this is about the time of day. Well, perhaps for the elementary schools, they would be getting out. But as I've shared with you, the 9 schools that we know of now have been locked down, 2 middle schools, 7 elementary schools. As you might well imagine, that's almost SOP when there's anything near a school anymore. All right, 9 schools shut down. We shared that with you. Let me share again with you. All groups on base have been instructed to get a head count of all of their people. They want to know who's missing, who's here, who's at the doctor's office, who came back from lunch, who didn't come back from lunch yet. Is everybody accounted for? Do you know where your people are supposed to be? In a situation like this, you always have to be concerned about someone being taken hostage. Now remember, if there is in fact still a shooter on the loose, as we believe and as we've been told, that person is desperate. They're trying to get away now. And so if it means grabbing a hostage so that they might try and secure their freedom, they're not afraid to do that. I mean, they've already taken 7 lives and wounded 12 others, and so there's no problem with taking a hostage if they think that's going to help them secure their freedom. But I can promise you they're not going to let them get off that military post if there's any way they can keep them there. You're looking again at the Soldier Readiness Center. This is an epicenter of emotions on a daily basis as soldiers are planning to deploy for 12 to 18 months to longer tours of duty in either Iraq or Afghanistan, and as other soldiers, war-weary men and women, come back home to their loved ones who've been living life without them for, again, 12, 18 months. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of emotion in that building every day. You can also imagine the stress of what we've been watching in the news the last week or so, my friends, with just the number of U.S. military who have lost their lives in Afghanistan in the last couple of weeks. You can imagine the stress on any military installation as families worry about their loved ones, and as those who are perhaps planning to leave have uncertain feelings about whether their families are going to be okay without them.